Is there something on your mind that's haunting you like a ghost? Am I the one that makes you cry or keeps you so high? There's no coming down. I lose myself when you're not around, like it's something real. I lose myself when you're not around, like it's something real. So everything was just a lie. I think it's haunting you like a ghost. Am I the one that makes you cry or keeps you so high? There's no coming down. I lose myself when you're not around, like it's something real. I lose myself when you're not around, like it's something real. I lose myself when you're not around, like it's something real.
You're tuned in to a Grown Folks production
In the mix.
with the commish, Nate.
And there we have it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live. I'm your host, the Commish Nate, your weekly OMFL podcast show, the world's oldest and longest online CFM in the world. Started in 2001 as a PC League. Thanks for hanging out with me. I am flying solo today. My guy Maniac had to back out at the last minute, and life is a little too busy right now. So understandable, happens to the best of us. But because I'm flying solo, we're going to have to see how this goes. Good to see you, Mr. Trey. I think you were traveling last week or whatever it may have been. So we miss seeing you around. Lots to unpack and a lot has happened. And because we were sharing these responsibilities, I may have to wing some of this. And if you're watching on the vertical, you're going to see Mr. Maniac right there. He's not here. It's just me. If you're watching the normal, you don't see Maniac because can't remove him from the vertical right now. It won't make sense. It doesn't matter. People don't care. Just talk about why we're here. And why we're here is to talk about the OMFL. Let's look at week number 5. They had a ton of really great games. We're going to look at 5, 6, 7. We're going to pick one game from each of those. We'll look forward to 8, 9, and 10. Crazy to think that is where we are in our season. Then we're going to look at some teams and start to unpack a few things. I'm just going to give you my opinion, but if you're in the chat, I want to hear your opinion as well. Come and hang out and talk to me. Miami Dolphins beating the Green Bay Packers 19-13. Minnesota on top of Detroit 28-24. Some really good games right off the bat, but we got to talk about the Raiders and the Chiefs. Raiders coming away with a 1-point victory, 28-27. Kansas City really shut out in that fourth quarter where the Las Vegas, I want to say the Vegas Raiders, but it's the Las Vegas Raiders end up having a great fourth quarter, putting up 14 points, only one turnover in this game. And we are at that kind of time in the Madden cycle where guys have started to figure out what routes work, what play calls work. I'm going to call more of those than the others that don't. Hence my 8,000 messages that went out this past weekend, just trying to tighten up some FPR things, bring some clarity. Unfortunately, we had to bring some old rules back, but that happens every cycle, sort of clean the slate going into the cycle. As the cycle progresses, we got to sort of add things right back into the FPR. It happens. It's normal. It's not abnormal. But what I'm trying to get is the frustration is starting to build. And the later we get in a cycle, guys start to get way more frustrated. If you watched any of my game streams, you know exactly what I'm talking about because I am extremely frustrated. Within the first 2 minutes of every game, I'm ready to throw it out of the window. But you can see 2 sacks on Mahomes from the Las Vegas Raiders, but they did have their brand new quarterback, Gaston Walter, over from the Minnesota Vikings. Not a terrible game. He did throw a pick. He was only sacked one time, only threw 144 yards and 55% completion percentage. But this was about the running game. Jacobs, 11 for 110 and 2 touchdowns. And their rookie backup, 14 for 58 with 2 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns combined by those guys. Aiden Nash, 4 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown. That guy makes plays no matter where you put him. And you can see Justin Reed leading this team in tackles, and the sack leader was going to be Max Crosby. Mason Crosby kicks field goals, not sack quarterback, but a really nice victory for the Raiders. And the Kansas City Chiefs have been one of those teams we've talked a lot about, sort of hot, cold, hot, cold. We want to see more from them as we continue to progress here. And so it's just one of those things that have to happen. Trey, this literally happened like 2 minutes. I'd already fired up the stream when he told me he wasn't going to be able to make it. So no real time to ask for any kind of help. The other games that went really well, Condors in Jacksonville, 47-41. That was a really, really good game. Seattle, we talked about this one live last week. 10-0 over the San Francisco 49ers. Nice victory for them. Buffalo with a 42-32 victory over the Patriots. Atlanta Falcons 47-41 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, even though the Atlanta would sort of hit a skid after this one. The New York Jets with a 33-21 victory over the Chargers, and Pittsburgh with a 31-27 victory over Carolina, who Pittsburgh and Carolina both starting to figure some things out here in the middle point of the season. Looking at week number 6, actually, let me double check because it just hit me. Yes, I did not get any OMFL news. So not only am I flying solo, but we have no news for today. That's okay. Life happens and gets in the way. A lot of blowouts, a lot of big points put up in this week here in week number 6. But Green Bay and Toronto Mounties, brand new team over there, 17-10 over the Green Bay Packers. 3 turnovers for the Green Bay Packers. They really struggled with turning the ball over and didn't have the ball all that long, only 15 minutes and 42 seconds. CJ Stroud with a great game, 261, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The rookie, or actually second-year guy out of Mississippi State, Marco Feldman, had 3 turnovers on the day. Looking at the running game, 12 for 84 for Tremaine Hall, but it really was about the defense for Toronto. They got after Green Bay. Edmonds had a sack. They picked him off 3 times with Steven, Jackson, and Brisker. I always said that Toronto has a very good defense, and they really showed it here against Green Bay. Good to see you, Bill. Some other really good games this week. Again, a lot of blowouts in this one. Cincinnati hanging 48 on his buddy Little Koch, 35 for the San Antonio Desperados. A lot of other big blowouts. San Francisco, Detroit, Carolina. Just big blowouts in week number 6. Week number 7 only has a couple of games here left. This was a really good, a massive victory there for Nipples and the Baltimore Ravens, 30-27, scoring 13 points there in the fourth quarter. This one really was all about both of these quarterbacks, man. 72% for Lamar Jackson, 53% for Richardson. 3 touchdowns combined, 2 interceptions combined, 3 sacks combined between both of those. Nothing really super sexy at the running game. Josh Downs, though, showing why he is such a good playmaker here. 7 for 97 with a touchdown. Zay Flowers, 4 for 72 and 2 touchdowns. And then the defense, again, really getting after the quarterbacks. Humphreys and Moore each with an interception, and then Trenton Simpson with 2 sacks on the day, and Galmore with a sack on the day. And a big-time victory there for Mr. Nipples and the Baltimore Ravens. Looking at a couple of these other games, Green Bay, a couple of close losses so far this season. So 32-31 against the New England Patriots, a 27-14 victory for the Commanders over the Eagles. The Jets with a 28-14 victory over Denver. Pittsburgh with a 35-31 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. Big time win there for Cincyberg, who I think is on a 3 or 4 game winning streak now, as he's got that team absolutely rolling. And then Tampa Bay doing what Kevin and Tampa Bay knows how to do, and that's put up a ton of points, 41-32. That passing game for him just feels unbeatable. Like you don't know how to guard it on any route, on any play. He just has big time playmakers. His offensive line gives him time, and he's able to find those open guys. Looking at week number 8, I'm just going to point out a couple of games here that should be really, really good games to be able to watch. Vikings and Packers, they played to a close one. Can Priest get the Packers over the hump? Bengals, Desperados got to be feeling some kind of way after having 42 hung on them just a couple of weeks before he's going to be playing his buddy. Jaguars and Ravens, can Nipple and the Ravens keep that momentum going and keep rolling along there in that one? Falcons and Panthers, I know that Maniac's feeling some kind of way about that game against Carolina. He's going to be looking for a bit of a comeback, some payback in that one. What are some other really good games here? Rams Seahawks, I don't know. Let's see what Smace can do. Smace got a lot going on. The Seahawks, they're absolutely rolling. Bills and Jets, that should be a really good one. Big Hurt has the Bills arguably number 1 in the power rankings right now. That team is playing exceptional football. Next time we come back, we'll have a commish power rankings. Quick look at week number 9. I'm not sure if D. Wayne's going to be gone or not. That could be a really fun matchup between two teams who know each other very well, between the Cowboys and the Giants. Buccaneers and Falcons for round 2 of that one. That should be a really fun one. Mounties and Lions, 2 guys playing their team. Tim playing the old team that he used to have. So that could be a good one. Steelers, Condors, sign me up for this one. I'm going to watch that one. That's going to be a barn burner. Bills and Titans. That could be a really, really good game. Fun to watch. Dolphins and Jaguars, sneaky good. Raiders, Broncos. I know they're Records don't say it. These two guys are friends, and that should just be a really fun one. And I want to watch Panthers and Desperados. I feel like Bird has figured out some things. I think all of us are starting to figure out some things, and now it's just executing. I feel like Bird and the Panthers have executed a bit better lately. Little Koch is putting up tons of points. It's just not coming away in victories right now. And then before I take a breath, a look at week number 10 here. Buccaneers and Ravens. Yes. Defense versus offense. Sign me up. I want to watch that one. That's going to be a ton of fun. Mike Fleury and his Vikings. Big Hurt and the Buffalo Bills. Two teams that have had quietly really good seasons. I think that's going to be a ton of fun to watch. Steelers on the red hot roll that they are on against the Desperados, who are still putting up tons of points. These are going to be a really good matchup between two strengths of each of these coaches against one another. But the game of the week, it has to be maybe the game of the year up to this point. Jets and Seahawks, two buddies, two guys playing powerhouse football right now, two guys that arguably could be at the top of both of their conferences by the time we get to this week. That's going to be a really fun game to be able to watch. Bengals Falcons, I think, could be a ton of fun as well. And that's a look at week number 8, 9, and 10. There's no news, so there's like nothing that I can do to sort of break this up just a little bit. But man, we got to figure it out. We got to figure out a way to sort of break this out. It's just going to be me kind of talking. We're going to turn the page here and start to look at some teams, though. I want to do two different sort of segments. First, authentic love or catfish. We're going to look at some teams I'm going to roll out, and we're either going to say, do we authentically love these, or is this wifey material for season 109, or did we get catfish and think maybe these teams are not the contenders that we think they may be? And then we're going to turn the corner and we're going to say, that's not a compliment. We're going to look at a stat that looks like on paper could be a compliment, but ultimately it is absolutely not a compliment. We were hoping to have a handful of these, but since it's just me, I've only got two that I want to point out. Then we're going to open up the OMFL mailbag, and then we're going to get you out of here. So let's go look at a couple of these teams here. Actually, let's get back over here. Oh, gosh. I keep flip-flopping, y'all. I apologize. But then I remember I need this screen so I can actually see what I'm doing over here. All right. I want to talk about a couple of these teams here. Authentic love or catfish. And I want you to tell me in the chat what you think about each of these teams. We're going to break down about 4 of them. And the first one is one that I've already talked about a handful of times, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. 5-2, 192 points for that offense. Is playing pretty good, but look at that defense. 154 points only allowed. He is on a 4-game winning streak. Are you authentically in love with this team, or do you feel like you've been catfished? And just because history tells no lies, I got to say he's catfishing us. Only because I don't know that he's got the stamina. That's a funny word, pause, to use for Mr. Nipples and the Ravens. I'm not sure he's got the stamina to last all the way to the end of season 109. Now, I know when he's plugged in, when he's fully engaged, he can play defense with the best of them. He can make you want to delete this game from your PlayStation and act like you've never touched it before. This guy is a player. He knows how to play exceptionally good football. He's got the team. He's got the running game. He's got Jackson playing at a high percentage right now. We've seen in his last game 72% completion percentage, but I still think he's catfished us, and he probably doesn't have what it takes to go all the way through with it. The next team, we're going to stay in the AFC. We're going to go one below, talk about the Tennessee Titans and Mr. Penguins. 4-2, finally turning things down around there in Tennessee, but on a 2-game losing streak, playing exceptionally good defense. Offense still needs to figure out some things. I still feel like there's a quarterback question that's sort of floating for that team, but play defense. This guy knows how to do that. He plays the utmost best defense, some of the best defense that you're ever going to face here in the OMFL. Do you think that you're absolutely madly in love? Have you made some starry-eyed connections, sipping on the wine? The stars are out. You think that you're going to put a ring on it and take this home to mama, or you think you've been catfished on this one? I got to say this one feels authentic. Only because of the division that he is in. I mean, the AFC is not going to be an easy one. Oh, I let it go too fast here. He does have the Condors, but he's keeping pace with the Condors at 5-2. They're at 4-2. Texans, we know what Roger is when he's able to concentrate, but his health sort of keeps him from being able to do that. And I'm not sure what happened to Peppers off to that really hot start, that 1-0, but 5-game losing streak. I feel like me and Peppers are sort of in the same boat. We thought we had things figured out, but they've sort of unraveled a bit. So I feel like the AFC is there for the Titans to be able to take it. And a little unlike the Jacksonville Jaguars, I feel like Penguins is going to stay engaged. I said the Jacksonville Jaguars because I had him on the mind. I meant the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be able to stay engaged for this one. I think this might be some authentic love for this, but one thing we know for sure, Penguins knows how to play really great defense. Defense, it simply wins in the OMFL, and it wins at the highest levels whenever you can play defense at the highest levels. Two more teams. We're going to turn our corner and go back to the NFC for this one. And the first one is right here in my division with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 6-1, a 2-game winning streak, putting up some outrageous offensive numbers. I think he's going to be, number 2 right behind the Condors at 260.1 points for him, 190 points against him, which isn't too bad there. Are you in the chat authentically in love with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or you think you've been catfished? I got to say I'm in love with it. Listen, that quarterback, those receivers, the offense that he knows. Listen, if Kevin's figured out anything, he's figured out the plays that work for his team, the plays that work against you, and he's probably going to put up 35 minimum right off the bus, stepping 1 foot into your stadium or to his. He's hanging 35 on you. And if he gets a couple of turnovers, gets a couple of breaks to go his way, you can hang it up. He's going to put up 40, 45, maybe 50 burgers on you all day long. I love what this offense is all about. I love those receivers, the running backs, the tight ends. He's got playmakers at every position, every key position that you want. And so far this year, the offensive line has held up pretty well. Thank you, MLW and Gaming. I appreciate you for the subscription. Back to the Buccaneers. I feel like he's doing it all right. He's doing it the way we seen him do it 2 or 3 seasons ago. Tampa Bay is right there. The division is his. And I feel like I am absolutely, authentically in love with him. Now, I want to turn the corner and talk about the last team on our list, and that is one that we've already talked about a few times, one that is turning the corner here. Did I pass him up? I guess I wasn't paying attention. And this is bad streaming right now, but holy cow, he's way further down this list than I thought he was. Oh, it's because I'm looking at points far. That's not what I wanted to look at. I want to look at this. This is what I'm trying to get to. All right, he's not as far down on this list, coming in at 13th, the Minnesota Vikings. So in the chat, are you authentically in love with the Minnesota Vikings at 4-3? Playing really good defense, 151 points for him. Offense, bit of a struggle, but he did send away his franchise quarterback, so he sort of hit the reset button on the quarterback situation. Or do you think you've been catfished? I feel like this is one of the tougher ones because this division, with the exit of Trey, your Super Bowl champions, it opens up this division wide up. The Packers losing close games, 1-point games. He's losing those. He's not able to get over the hump there. On the other side, the Vikings have got a couple of wins here and there. Kind of went on a bit of a streak there, losing streak, but he's got back on the winning side with his win this past week. And then you got the Detroit Lions. Tim, he's in chat right now. What's Tim thinks he's going to be able to do with those Detroit Lions? Not built for him, but can he get things figured out? I got to say he's catfishing me. Only because of the quarterback situation. That's it. I think Fleury is going to get things figured out. We talked how highly. I think he will make a push and probably make the playoffs. But without a quarterback, are you going to be able to win at the highest levels here in the OMFL? My gut tells me probably not. It's going to be too tough of an ask. So if you're watching this later, I don't know why. This is normal time for us, but it seems like this Monday, everyone's busy. If you're watching us a little bit later, I want you to leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Are you madly in love? Are you catfished by these teams. We went through, where did I get them? Ravens, Titans, Buccaneers, and Vikings. Are you madly in love, or do you feel catfished by those teams? Let me know what you think. All right, last segment before we open up the OMFL mailbag. We're going to talk about that's not a compliment. We're going to look at a stat here in the OMFL that is actually not a good stat, though on paper it looks like a good stat. And the very first one, the New England Patriots. Let's get over here and look at the New England Patriots. I got to show you a stat that really stuck out. I am a big fan of Lost Sniper. He feels like a brother from another mother. I hope one day I get to go to Vegas, hug that guy's neck, take him out to dinner somewhere, even though he probably makes way more money than me, so maybe I'll make him pay for dinner. But this guy is just a brother from another mother. And if you look at the offensive passing yards, he is number 2 in passing yards, and yet his team is not winning like normal teams. He is giving up a ton of points on defense. He is not playing that fundamental offense that we've seen him play in the past that got him into the playoffs and making runs. He sort of had to rebuild this team, a lot like me. Both of our teams are very similar, aging, bad cap situations, no quarterback. He sort of had to build this thing from the ground up, and he's starting to slowly get there, but he's not quite there just yet. Let me see if I can pull up some stats really quick on the New England Patriots. What is that? AFC East? Yes, sitting at 3-4. He scored 191 points, but he's given up 213. He is on a 1-game winning streak, but 3-4, not the season he was hoping to have. He really had a solid draft and rebuilt this team. Rusty Starr is a playmaker, but being number 2 in the passing game here in the OMFL, you would think means lots of wins. I'm putting up tons of big numbers, but he's not scoring the touchdowns that he wants to score. He's not winning the games that I know he's trying to win here. That is not a compliment for the New England Patriots to be number 2 in passing here in the OMFL. Another one still staying on the AFC. Denbrew, let me know in the chat. You didn't give me news. I'm afraid you're busy. Maybe on vacation. Maybe he's out. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Maybe it's just life. So Denbrew, let me know if I'm talking about the AFC enough today. But the other team is also going to be here in the AFC. This is not what I want. I hit the wrong button here. Madden's menus take forever to load. I absolutely hate their UI, though I would say I've seen worse UI before in the past with other games. Team stats, we're going to stay in the AFC. I want to look at red zone percentage. I think right here, we're going to go red zone percentage. We're going to go offensive red zone percentage. This is not it. It is defensive red zone percent. That is not it. Okay, then I feel like that maybe Neon Sports gave me some messed up stats here. Okay, this is not the stats that Neon Sports gave me, so let me pull up Neon Sports and find out what I was looking at, because it originally said that the Denver Broncos were number 4 or 5 in offensive red zone percentage at 72%, and yet we find them with only 10 total touchdowns. Let me see if I can pull it up here on Neon Sports, one of our partners that we enjoy being able to be a partner with and appreciate them. Let's see, total. What was I looking at then? This is it. Yeah, this is weird. Okay, my bad. I don't know what it is I'm looking at here. That's all. It's not here. It's not the same. Anyway, on Neon Sports, the percentage of scoring whenever they enter the red zone is at 72%. I think this right here that we're looking at on the screen is going to be touchdown percentage and red zone percentage for the Broncos. They are sitting at 72%, but only 10 touchdowns on the season. That's not a compliment to be scoring every time you enter the red zone. But the problem is, if you only enter the red zone 18 times, you're going to have pretty high percentages, no matter if you score or get a field goal or a touchdown. The Broncos getting in the red zone, not that often. Scoring when they do get there, but they need more touchdowns. They need to get in the red zone more often. Way too many punts. So the 72% completion percentage is actually going to put them fifth in the league behind the Bengals, Condors, Chiefs, Bills, Buccaneers right below them. These are all very good offensive teams here in the OMFL. He's just not putting up the touchdowns. He's also not getting in the red zone nearly enough. So the Denver Broncos, that is not a compliment to be that high in red zone percentage just because you're not scoring enough touchdowns. And that is our 2 segments for the day. Now we're going to open up the OMFL mailbag. I think we got no new questions. Again, I see Nipples is typing a new question as we are talking, but we'll see if we can get to it. What are your top 5 offenses and top 5 defenses for season 109? This comes from our guy Bronco Man. That's a really good question, but let's see if we can get over here. I think we want to go to standings. I'm going to give you mine, not just based off of stats, but the ones that I've seen, especially here as of late. What are we in week number 7? The teams that I think have put up a lot more points here in week number 7. Let's look at the top points scored for these teams. You got to go Condors. I think low key, the Condors just has really good passing game. We know the running game he has, but I feel like the last 2 or 3 seasons, he has built a really good passing game, especially with downs. He's very efficient with his quarterback. He can also take off running with him. He can put up tons of points. I think Condors just have one of the best offenses quietly because he just doesn't get enough love. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to get tons of love. I think Tampa Bay is top 3 offense in this league, hands down. He can put up points with the best of them. I would put the Jets up there. He has figured out a scheme, a play calling sort of platform of the rhythm and mode that he calls these plays that just attacks you, puts pressure on you, and makes it very difficult to know how to challenge him on the defensive side of the ball. I would also put the Desperados up there. I think he would fall in my top 5. He can put up points with the best of them. The problem is his defense isn't sort of keeping pace with his offense right now. And I'd also put the Bengals up there. I've watched Joe Burrow just have 4, 5, 6 seconds in the pocket. And with that chase on the outside and the tight end and the running back core that he has, like, man, he is just very difficult to defend. I know looking at the stats, Seahawks having a great season, and I think has arguably the best quarterback in the league. He's got to be an honorable mention. Some would argue, put him in the top 5, probably deserves to be there. I'm just trying to tell you the teams that pop into my head when I think about offensive numbers. We know that his quarterback for the Seahawks is great, but he had an MVP season last year, and before that, it's kind of a slow build. I feel like one more solid season, like he's currently having, he will be top of mind when we think of offense. And then the Dallas Cowboys, he does it in like a very effective way, maybe a untraditional way. When we think about top offenses, we think about passing offensive first, and really his is going to be the quarterback play is going to be efficient, and the running game is going to be outstanding. All of those teams, though, should be mentioned when thinking about the teams here. Now look at a couple of points against, and this is strictly looking at the scoring. You got to talk about these first 3 right off the bat. Cowboys, 49ers, Seahawks. I would even put the Commanders in there. All of those coaches are known for defense. Look at the points allowed here. 94 for the Cowboys, 107 for the Seahawks, for 49ers, 111 for the Seahawks, who shut out those 49ers. Commanders, 129. We knew that Bill was going to take some time to build that defense. He has done that. They're playing outstanding football. We know what Meek has done. He has built a defense that can get at you from every single level. There is no time that it lets up and that you think you can breathe. He can really attack you with those Seahawks. 49ers, he is known. So is Dallas. Dallas and the 49ers, both known for the pressure that they put on you. both of them do it differently. The San Francisco 49ers will play safety. He will play a lot of man coverage, go make a play on the ball. Dallas Cowboys, he's going to pick and choose his blitzing opportunities, but he's going to play the middle of the field with that middle linebacker. He's going to shut down your running game. He's going to try to cause you to throw the ball in the middle of the field, and he's going to have success picking you off. Those are my top 4 right off the top of my head. And I would also put Big Hurt and the Bills in that conversation. I feel like overall, Big Hurt, when he is at his best, he is playing exceptionally good defense. And this year, the Buffalo Bills are at their best, sitting here at 5-1. Vikings, you can see, should be in the conversation. Bengals should be in that conversation as well, as really good teams that are playing really great defense. And that is a look at the top defenses that we have here in the OMFL. Let me give you a little check mark, Bronco Man. We've been waiting on that question for quite some time. What are some other ones that we've been sort of waiting on? At one point, sorry, let's try that again. Had a little mini stroke, but we're back. Little Couch, he says, at what point of the cycle do you start looking for your import? For me, it is now. Like I'm thinking about my team now. A lot of teams, I think we're seeing as a general consensus, are going into the next draft or the following, that last draft that we do before we call it quits of the Madden cycle. Guys are tending to go that route. They want the youth. They want the contract, the rookie contract for the longest amount of time. But I think now in this season, you're thinking about this last draft. You're thinking about the guys. Or by now, you've known about your import that you took from last Madden. And is this a guy that you're going to have to pay, that you want to retire here, that you want to be here? We haven't seen a lot of those guys go over 3 Madden cycles. We've seen a handful of those guys, but you're knowing now this season, is this a guy I'm willing to invest in? He's such an impact player. I got to take him with me for 3 Madden cycles. Or hey, I've got a guy, or nope, I don't have a guy. I need to find that guy in one of these next 2 drafts. What positions do you prefer? I don't know why I can't say these words. For your imports, I think quarterback is going to be el numero uno for a lot of us, especially if you don't have that franchise guy in your NFL team. If you know going into it, I've got either an older guy or I got a guy that's just attributes wise isn't going to be that guy, then you're thinking quarterback. If it isn't quarterback, then it sort of opens up to the needs and skill positions for your team. I've been one of the guys that will invest in an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman. But that also has been the need for the New Orleans Saints the last couple of Madden cycles. They got old. They had needs at those positions. They didn't have a lot of draft picks. I don't know what's going on with my light over here. It's freaking out. I'm going to have to go give it a taparoo in a little bit. But I think you're looking at your team. You're looking at what they're going to do after this draft. I think NFL draft, right? After they draft and we start to think, is this going to be a player that may get rated high? That also is going to kind of curve how guys think. But I think skill positions is where a lot of dudes want to invest. But you will see a handful of us, like me, who are the positions in an OMFL draft that you don't want to waste a draft pick on. It's not sexy to waste a draft pick on a defensive tackle. Shouldn't call it a waste, but use a draft pick on an OMFL draft defensive tackle, a offensive lineman, a fullback. I'm probably to never see fullbacks come over. And if you have those needs on your NFL team and you have a player that makes sense to take over age, contract, abilities, sort of that mixture of those 3, then you're sort of looking to take those over. All right, one last one from Mr. Nipples. I have no clue what this is going to say, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to give it. He says, thank you for a new updated FPR. An offensive playbook can have 500 plays. Is it FPR breaking or weak doing 2 or more times the same passing plays or the same plays in some... Hold on, Nipples. Let's try this again. Is it FPR breaking or weak? So is it just against FPR or is it just lame? Doing 2 or more times the same passing plays or same plays in some important situations more than a couple times. I know that we all have our favorite things and feel having favorites can be honest, true. Your opinions. I think you're saying, if I understand you correctly, is it okay if I have sort of my go-tos in specific plays situations. I think it's okay in context. If the context is every 3rd and long, I'm going to this play, that's lame. You shouldn't do that. If every time I need to score a play, I'm going to these 3 play call sheets back to back to back because I know that's going to get me down there and score. That's lame. I don't think you should be pulling out things when you know they're going to work and you're going to pick, well, I'm going to save it and use it on that 3rd down. I'm going to save it for that red zone percentage. If it's done every single time. Now, if I have a play that I know works well, my team runs it well, it's just a play that works this Madden, and I'm putting it in my pocket and saving it for that 1 3rd and long, that one red zone where I need a touchdown. That's fine. That's just being a good coach, saving plays. But if it's, okay, every 3rd and long, I'm going to this play, and I've got it in 3 formations, so I can call it 6 times, that's super lame. He said, if I didn't explain it, I'll ask you at the next press. I'm working, so I haven't had crazy sex in the last 2 days. Thank you. Okay, that's not a question, but yes, you asked it just fine. I think it is fine to have go-tos. I think it's fine to have plays that work. I think it's fine to have favorite plays, and I think it is strategic to call those in specific times. I think it's lame if those times happen more than once. One of the things I think is lame that I've seen happen multiple times this season is guys who will abuse the tight end on the first drive, the first quarter. Like it's like first 4 out of 6 passes is to a tight end. That feels lame. That's like doing what you need to take that early lead, get momentum on your favor, and now I can back off, but like momentum's running, momentum's rolling, I can now open it up. Those are the kind of things we tried to articulate in all of the messages that I sent yesterday, because we're seeing this theme of owners sort of, maybe abuse doesn't fit, but like they're focusing on one specific thing to get that early lead. They're focusing on that one specific thing on those early quarters because they'll help you jump out to a lead. They'll maybe force a timeout. Like literally the first 5 out of 8 3rd downs in the first half of the game, it's cover 2 zone. The first 8 out of 12 2nd downs, you're blitzing. The first 4 out of 6 first downs, you're blitzing. The first 5 straight first downs, you're calling. It's just like you're not mixing it up. You're not being strategic with your play calls. Thanks, Robot. Appreciate the, I don't know if you're a real robot, if you're just named Robot, whatever. Anyway, I appreciate the sub. Anyway, the ultimate point that we're trying to make here is using things early in a game in hopes that you get the momentum, that you get the early lead, and now you're forcing the other team into some more difficult play calls later in the game where you can now open it up because I got the lead. Abusing post, abusing go routes. Like the amount of times I've seen verticals on any down and long distance just drives me. I hate vert calls on a 2nd and 20 in the second quarter, in the first quarter. Like, it's just not something you see a lot from NFL teams, but this Madden, it works well. So no way to sort of like answer that in black and white, Nips, but ultimately what I'm trying to say is it's fine to have a play call that you like, that's your favorite, that works well. It's just not cool to save those for those super important times, especially what I'm seeing in games this year, those super important times happening early in games. Blitzing a lot early in a game and then mixing it up later, kind of even out the overall numbers, lame. Lot of zone early in a game and then backing off later to even out the numbers, lame. Is that true, Tim? I hope they signed him to a cheap deal because I don't think, and Saints are bargain hunting right now anyway. So good for them. Not super pumped about it. Hopefully it's a 1 year prove it deal, and I'm fine with it. And it better be under $8 million a year. Anyway, I hope what I'm trying to say is articulating well and coming across the screen the way I want to do it. All we're looking for, fellas, like, it is not confusing and it's not hard. Just mix it up. Mix it up with your play calls. Mix it up with your formations. Expand your playbook. Ugh. Yeah, I don't like 13 mil a year. We'll see. I don't know what 1 year filings means, but I think what you're saying. Oh, there you go. Yeah, 1 year is fine. Who cares? It should all be fully guaranteed. It's 1 year, whatever. 13 mil feels a little gross, but I guess it's also bargain hunting when you look at what defensive ends are getting this year. He will be a rotational piece. He won't be a starter on this team. Hopefully he can get it together with our defensive line coach. And anyway, guys, just mix it up. Don't do the tight, like, the amount of times I've seen a tight end catch 4 out of the first 6 passes, 3 out of the first 5 passes on the first drive, score a touchdown, and now they back off and they only hit him once or twice the rest of the game. Like, it's happened so many times. The amount of times I've seen every second down you're getting blitzed. You're getting blitzed, 60% of the first quarter. These are the kind of things we just want to see guys mixed up. And sure, there's a line there. Like, we're not saying you got to mix up what position you play. We're not saying you got to, mix up. I don't even know what other instances trying to come to my head, but like, just play strategic football, mix it up. Let's go have fun. And all of us should identify that we're in that sort of season of the cycle that we figured it out. You figured out the game. You know what works. You know what doesn't work. You can all look up YouTube videos, and some of you I know do. It is what it is. All we're asking you to do is build out a playbook and mix it up. And there's like a bunch of playbooks to choose from if you don't want to build your own out. So anyway, I think that about wraps it up. And that's going to be the end of the show. These shows go way quicker when you're by yourself, 48 minutes. That's going to be the shortest show that we have had in a while. I know someone messaged me this week, but I had a really hard week, saying that you would be a hot seat guest. Re-message me. Let me know. I'm not getting a lot of those. I'd love to do the hot seat again. I miss doing those. They're always a lot of fun and always got a really great response from the guys. So please let me know if you're willing to do a hot seat. If you don't want to do one here audio-wise, we'll do a written one, but I'd love to have you here do audio. You do it with your phone, computer, laptop, iPad, whatever. You can use all kinds of different things to do it. So think about doing it. And the ultimate sort of like last little bit that I'll close the show is just FPR. Like, it sucked writing up those long messages. And I know 80% of you didn't want to read them, didn't read them, and just skim them. But I always try to over communicate here in the OMFL expectations. And we're just at that cycle, part of the cycle where we're seeing these sort of things over and over. And I really am trying not to add rules for one guy. I'd rather just remove one guy or have a conversation with one guy, but we are having to put back some rules. And unfortunately, when it comes to pressure, it is what this Madden's built to do. It's going to come in waves. It's not going to be consistent. There's no slider adjustments that we can do to make it consistent. And I think a big portion of what is caused is the games I'm watching and experiencing. If you stay in a normal pocket, like a normal quarterback under 10 yards, you're probably going to get a good amount of pressure. It's going to be more consistent. It's when we're seeing guys drop back 11, 12, 15 yards. They're having way more time to pass the ball. I don't know that this will fix it, but it's at least a step in fixing it. With the rest of the stuff, catch rules, it is what it is. I hate it is. It just kind of is what it is. So come participate with us. Come hang out with us. Let's get those photos going. I love the content. Let's finish this cycle strong. We still got the rest of this season, half of it to go. We got all next season. So a lot more football left to be played. And then we're going to play some NCAA. I think Maniac is playing with the idea of starting a for fun league that is cross-play. And so if we've got Xbox friends who are watching this, I think Maniac's playing with the idea of doing a for fun league that will have the cross-play plugged in and be able to do stuff with both Xbox and PlayStation. All right, guys, I need to shave. I got to get ready for church tonight. I need to take a breather. It's been one of those days. I love you. Thank you for hanging out. Remember, always take care of yourself. Take care of those around you. Know that I love you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you hanging out with me here for Press Pass Live. Join me on Wednesday for Nate versus Tim Part 2, because we got to play each other again now that he is with Detroit. And maybe tonight or tomorrow, probably more likely tomorrow, we'll do some PUBG streaming, because I have not streamed shooters in quite some time. Just hasn't lined up. So maybe I can do that since I got a little bit of a gap here. All right, guys, I love you. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Yeah.
Smash that like and subscribe.